Water. We can't survive without it. The Milne and Moraine Kloof catchment area supply a huge amount of water to the surrounding areas, but this is under threat.
The vegetation in this area is really special. There's a huge amount of plant diversity, special plants that only grow in that area. It's an incredibly important area for providing water to the region. Alien invasive plants are a big problem in this region. They threaten the native vegetation by endangering endemic species. They cause fires that are very damaging, of much higher intensity and much harder to manage than the fires that occur in natural vegetation. And they also use a lot of water, so they reduce the amount of water that's available to the plants and to downstream users. If the invasive pine trees are left to spread, they will colonize the area at quite a rapid rate, and in a few decades' time, the amount of runoff that's available downstream will be greatly reduced. Potentially by 2050, we could be losing 30 to 40% of the water that we get from our mountain catchments. Pine trees are a particular problem in the mountains, and it makes it particularly hard to control them because they grow in incredibly difficult to access terrain.
The easiest, best way to clear these guys, which is helihacking, so get slung in with a helicopter onto a cliff face and then fell all the pine trees that are on it, and then leapfrog essentially using the helicopter from one ledge to the other.
When you cut them down, they don't really resprout. They don't grow back from the original stem.
Just doing skid down landings had very limited application because we ran out of places where we could land close to the trees safely.
Many of the areas are, of course, high up in the mountains on steep slopes, and there are no paths to these places. So in order to walk there, it would take potentially days to get to these areas. It would take days, and it would involve carrying all the heavy equipment that's required to remove trees, to access them using ropes and rigging. It would be an unbelievable exercise that very few people would be capable of doing. But with a helicopter and with the experience of the people involved in the helihacking, we can get there quickly, and we can make a huge impact in a short amount of time, and we can get to the hardest to reach trees and the hardest to reach areas.
Because we have the chopper, it means we're taken straight to where we work. So it means we don't have to walk in, which cuts down a lot on the time to get to the work sites.
It's important to have good teams, so we have small groups, people with climbing experience and tree felling experience, so that we all help each other out. I'm a climber, and having experienced arborists in each team is how we train for helihacking, and they give us thorough briefings beforehand.
Look, it is dangerous work. We're working on steep ground. There is a danger of rockfall. We always have a doctor with us who's got a medical kit in case of some serious eventualities. Safety is of very high priority in the operation, so sometimes we have to take a little bit more time to do something and make sure everybody's okay.
And then there's a lot of equipment that's needed. Dozens and dozens of chainsaws, fuel for the chainsaws, equipment to transport people on helicopters, including strops and harnesses to move people around. So there's a huge amount of logistics, equipment and human resources that need to be juggled to make sure these operations can proceed. Water is life, and every city, including the city of Cape Town, invests billions into ensuring that there's sufficient water to supply their residents. The amount of money that often is involved in increasing the water that's available through things like desalination or groundwater extraction is often an order of magnitude more than what can be achieved by removing pine trees out of catchments. So the business case for clearing pine trees is clear. It is the cheapest way to increase water for downstream users.
The whole team is volunteer-based, including the medics, equipment, and the helicopter fuel and time is all paid for through donations. And without them, this wouldn't happen. Why do I do helihacking? Basically, I want to help save what little indigenous land we have left in South Africa.
Clearing pines is the cheapest way to increase water available for downstream users.
For every one tree you take down, you're killing 10 more, so it's worth it.